Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps lots. And also keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, here we are after market close on Friday, April 8th. We're going to take a look at SoFi today. So we have now closed out yet another pretty painful week in the storied history of SoFi, formerly known as the SPAC IPOE. Not quite sure what to say. I mean, we'll walk through where we are and some things that you could have looked for today on the chart, and then we'll flip over to the daily, and I want to at least sort of fill some folks in on how I came up with this 777 level, which I tweeted out yesterday morning, I think. And you see it came within 2 pennies of that today. So potentially something that's going to hold up. So we'll go over that. Now, today, pretty smooth price action in the sense of, I've said this tons of times in the past, aftermarket, pre-market levels can play a strong role. You see the support levels after hours last night that once again got hit in the lead into open this morning. And it's exactly where this puppy topped out today, right? I mean, I guess technically it was probably higher over here, 810, 809, yeah. But this is where this the recovery got the price action to, right? It got it to the support level of pre-market, which happened to be the support level of after hours last night on the big moves I'm talking, right? So something to pay attention to, something we've talked about, previously many times, but folks still kind of forget about this one. And so I would just remind you that that's something to keep your eye on. Yes, it is low volume usually in the pre-market, but I'm telling you, if you start to pay attention to these levels that hit pre-market, obviously it didn't get a chance to come up and test this level or this level. But if you start plotting these out as the day begins, or it could help you a ton during the trading day. Nothing is ever 100%, of course, but it gives you something to look for, right? The thing is not like, oh, it's hitting this level, and so it's definitely going to reject. No, the thing is, it's approaching this level, and I'm going to watch really closely to see what it does there, because that might be a pretty key level. It's the same thing with 777, right? It's not saying it's going to go down near 777 and then bounce. That's not the rule. The rule is to say, it's really more of a hypothesis. 777 is likely to show some support. Let's pay attention and see what it does there. Could it blow through that to the downside? Of course. And that could be for any number of factors. It could be a bad level, right? That the level was just misjudged. It could be that there's some horrendous news cycle in the overall, like the macro market, or in fintech, or in growth, or SPAC, or particular to SoFi, right? Bad news is potentially going to like thrust some of these things like straight through levels. But it gives you an idea to say, I should pay attention closely to what it's going to do at this level, because it might either show that it's going to follow through or that it's going to reverse. And so today we saw it reverse, right? So as it approached here, if you were paying attention to these wicks and you saw, oh, wow, every time it tries to stretch up, it wicks off, right? All these wicks to the top side aren't showing a lot of follow through that level. So it looks like maybe it's not going to be able to overtake that at all, right? Hopefully that would either give folks an opportunity to come out of that position if they had taken something just to ride it up short term, or didn't scream to them, buy now, it's going to go higher, So just something to sort of clarify, because we haven't talked about it in a while, but like I said, we used to talk about it all the time. Now, let's go to the 1 year here, the pain of the 1 year. Okay, now I know this looks like an atrocious mess, but let me just show you why. So we had these levels in previously, right? And these levels aligned back to previous price action, right? You see, I mean, as it got pretty thin as we got down here near and below 10, of course, because there wasn't a lot of price action below there previously. And then once we sort of got past this level of like $8, it got thin once again. Now, what I did that sort of put in that 777 was just to take this here, right? And you see that's right about where we hit today. Now, the one that that feels more speculative, that we'll have to see if it holds. So 777, just to be clear, is taken sort of what I'll call the normal way, right? I went back and looked where it caught previous support. See these two wicks here. And this was just about a month ago or less than a month ago. So it wasn't that long ago. But also, that might not be super strong support because you're just taking it off of two candles, though it did briefly reverse right off that level. But again, it's not as though it has, half a dozen or a dozen candlesticks showing the strength of that level. It's just a couple. So that's something to keep in mind. And then below that, we're just in no man's land, right? There's nothing down there. So what I did was I went ahead and I put in a fib extension here to the downside. So basically I said, here was this swing high that came down to this swing low, and then the last swing high that we had from that level. Now I wanted to see how that played out versus I could also taken this one here. I know it's like really hard to see. I could have also done this one here, right, as opposed to this one here. So we'll see how the level plays out. We might need to play with it a little bit, but that's to be expected given that, again, we're in no man's land. So we're just trying to figure out some levels here, but that's where I had tweeted out that 739 level. That's what I was referencing earlier in the video. I think it was yesterday. I said, if this gives up 777, watch out for 739. Now we see yesterday it came down to 764, so we'll see if that continues to play in, or, I mean, obviously my hope is that no, we just get our run back at 851 and see what happens. But, something that stood out to me was just how these levels are lining up, right? This 1618 level, showing up within 10 cents of the 851, which we had it anyway. So like I said, something to watch, 739. We'll see if we need to rejigger and sort of tweak a little bit. You're really into crystal ball territory when you get to these lows. And we don't really have a clean trend line. I'm going to pop this off for now. So, just keep 739 in your mind. I guess I could just put that on the chart, but I just wanted to explain how I got there. So in case folks want to sort of try to recreate that on their own, or if they're like, I don't think that's going to work, then you can just, dismiss it. Or if you want to throw one in by going like this route, bang, 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 swing high, swing low, swing high before the sell-off, and see what that gets you. But I'm going to go with this first, and we'll do that one if this proves to not be holding up so well. Because right now we don't even really have a trend line, right? We have like some near gaps is also the other annoying thing, right? If we had some sort of true gaps here, we might get some rallies even to just fill the gaps that are left to the upside. But I mean, we're getting like near misses on getting a gap here. Like maybe there's a teeny tiny gap there. Is that really going to sway the price action? Maybe same thing there. I don't know. I mean, if we're going to have these like large moves down, there's almost a part of me that sort of thinks, well, let's just get a gap in, since SoFi has filled gaps so consistently previously, right? I mean, we could go back a lot on those, certainly with all the earnings. Anytime an earnings gap happened. So, that's sort of like where my head's at, how I'm trying to structure some of this together. But it's getting additionally challenging. So we're going to have to pull out some tools, like the fib extensions, and sort of flip them on their heads to see where it could extend to the downside. But it's just the case. Like I had mentioned, probably in last week's video, probably in videos months ago, because we want the stock to do a thing does not mean it's going to do the thing. So to a degree, we had to set that aside and say, I wish this weren't the case, but here's what's going on, and here's some levels that it might make sense to pay attention to. So it's just where we are, for better or worse. And I my commons bled out with everyone else's commons this week, so I didn't even get a chance to wheel it because there wasn't enough of a rally day. Was my thinking that it made sense to to try anything. So Monday would have been the day to do that. It looks like, but so it goes. All right, folks. Tough week, but I'll swing back on either Monday or Tuesday next week to sort of see how things kick off and see what we might look for beyond this. But this is what I'm headed into the week next week looking at. All right, folks. I hope your trading week went well, besides SoFi. And I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.